I mean, a fucking AK-47 and the baby carriage. That ain't shit. I'm a real nigga, dog. Heard that from the start. I heard you still, nigga, dog. I heard that from the law. They heard my heart, but I ain't pussy, so I'm a damn for the charge. I kept my mouth closed, nigga.
So how about if I begin just by giving you the hookup with some real talk concerning nitro engines. This is for anybody who has potentially been influenced by these guys who think that the bigger the displacement, the faster the engine. I see it all the time. I see, you know, like all these auto mechanics and full-scale engine guys bragging about their LRP 32s or axial 32s, and I've seen people actually try to debate how, by their very nature, a larger engine is a more powerful engine. Well, no shit. I mean, you know, but see, these are what I call paper experts, because I don't know a damn thing about full-size engines. Don't even care about them. Don't know a damn thing about any of that. And I don't care what power an engine puts out on a dyno machine. You know, I'm all about engines that move a vehicle from point A to point B as quickly as possible. That's what's up. And I'll tell you, I'm unaware of any engine on the market that is a 0.28, a 0.30, 0.32, whatever, that can do that. Move a vehicle from point A to point B like this OS25 engine. So how about I just, I'll show you. Now, look, I promise, I've had people actually say, oh man, you changed the frame rate or whatever. I can easily do that. I work in IT. I mean, I don't know about engines, but technology I do know about. I promise I don't have any, come on. So don't question my integrity like that. I'm going to show you real shit right here. So you saw how, the vehicle dug in and went straight ahead. That's called forward bite right there. That's how, once again, instead of, doing all this, who wants to do that, man? I want to get busy. And that's exactly what it does. This thing is lighter, it's lower, it's got more practical RPM than its 0.28 counterpart. So, my perk, once again, in all this is bigger displacement doesn't mean shit. Hey, all, it's Nitro Nerds here. I realize it's been a little while, I guess, maybe, since I've done a video. Sometimes, you know how it is, you've been around our channel for a while. I'll go in spurts, rat-a-tat-tat, I'll hit you with, shitload of videos coming at you real fast, then I'll go in, to my incognito mode for a few weeks or whatever. See, you have to understand, I'm an old ass. A lot of you guys might not know that, but I'm an old son of a bitch. And so I get elements, it lays my ass down. And that's kind of pretty much where I've been, down. Alright, so it's obvious I'm going to have to come up with some something new for this lipo. Basically, I kind of got this thing going on. It's like a Tamiya, or not the Tamiya, but the Traxxas connector that I made an adapter that is a mini Tamiya plug. It goes right into the switch. But the thing about this, I'll make it work because here's why I like LiPo so much as far as receiver batteries. You get that oomph. That's how it is, right? So let's talk RC. Oh, shit, excuse me. Let's talk RC, where I'm at and where I left off, because I myself don't really remember. I do know that I had recently rebuilt this F4.6 because I wanted to run it on this Ofta Hyper 7. Shit. Let's go ahead and do it. when you clean your parts, clean for intent. Remember that, okay? Don't just, put stuff on it and then just wipe it down like this. I don't know what you're going to do. This is going to be kind of an interesting video, if not series, called Electrics with Nitro. This video is intended for anyone who has taken apart their F4.6 engine, HPI engine, and having a difficulty connecting the starting shaft backplate to the drive shaft. So what I've done is I've assembled everything, and I got the spring. I used some needle nose pliers and a little bit of grease, put the spring inside the shaft, did the same thing with the clip. Now the clip is in there. When you press down on it, it's going to essentially bounce back up. So now the tricky part. Typically what I do is I'll put the connecting rod, shaft pin, probably about the 10 o'clock position, and I'll try to line the back plate, I forget, this piece right here, whatever that thing is called, line it up, put it in there, and hope for the best. This time I got it on the first try. What you really want to do is after you put it in, just hold it tight and just kind of move it, make sure that it's moving the piston like you see right here. It's doing that fine. Now we put it all back together. Meaning, I'm going to give some electric tips, believe it or not. I'll make no bones about it, I'm not an electric guy. Inspect all your components. As an example here, I want to make sure that this O-ring is still in good shape. Now put the back plate back. Meaning, I'm going to give some electric tips, believe it or not. I'll make no bones about it, I'm not an electric guy. But I started thinking, I've pretty much done, I think at least almost everything you can with respect to electrics and how they are embedded within the Nitro RC world. And so I have a pretty strong history of just doing stuff on the cheap, on the fly, MacGyver style, whatever you want to call it. I also have a history of blowing up batteries, I'm not going to lie. But anyways, if you want to try what I'm going to try, I can't say it's not dangerous. I have a video coming out fairly soon about differentials specific to the Savage, but how about if I bust a myth first? I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and imagine running your Savage. Think about running your Savage down a long straightaway and then you turn it. Now, when turning it, are you on throttle or off throttle? In other words, when you turn your Savage, I'm pretty sure that if you're putting metal to the pedal, then turning a 1/8 scale monster truck, even if you've lowered that bad boy to 40 millimeters, you're going to flip it. So my whole point in this is I don't believe that there are people out there driving their Savage, throttling it through corners, just putting that throttle on as it turns and stuff. In the racing world, yeah, there's people, it depends. I'm more of an on-power guy, but that's a whole other story. What the hell does this have to do with diffs? Believe it or not, I just explained to you the purpose of changing the torque attributes of a front differential. In other words, thin oil versus thick oil. That's right. The effects of a front differential are delineated based on off-power steering versus on-power steering. Thicker oil provides more on-power steering and less off-power steering. Let me repeat that. The thicker the oil, the less off-power steering you're going to have, and the more on-power steering. So earlier when you were thinking about turning your Savage and how you're off power, like most people are, just due to the center of gravity, once again, of the truck, I'm curious why in the world there's this movement of all these bashers who run thick-ass diff oil, like 1 zillion K diff oil in the front. You hear them say things like, man, I run thick oil because I want to get traction. Get traction. That makes no sense. That makes 0 sense. If you don't believe me, ask them to elaborate. because I can elaborate all day long how that doesn't make a lick of sense. Anyways, more on that later, but just wanted to touch on differentials and what the torque attributes are for. In other words, what the different viscosities of the oil do. What's different, as I said, the crankcase is different. I talked about the starting shaft, the cooling head is different, and the rotostart gearbox is different. Other than that, it's the same. Every now and then, it seems like HPI comes out with a gimmick, such as the stainless steel brake disc. Another one of those gimmicks, I feel, are these alloy differential houses. I think they call them cups, whatever. It's ironic because Hot Bodies calls them diff houses, HPI calls them diff cups, whatever. But the fact that they're alloy, let's put it this way, I can come up with a lot of reasons why it's the downside for having alloy, and I can't come up with a single reason for the upside. I'm going to go and wipe off this stock grease. We're going to take it apart. Alright, so a standard front or rear 1/8 differential is 95 grams. This is filled with oil, we'll say between 2 to 10. This is a center diff with a steel spur gear. This is aluminum as well, right? So, and it's a spider diff. This is 114 grams. And then here we go with Big Mama, 122. You don't get a damn thing. Another disadvantage, aside from their weight, is the fact they're problematic. Why are they problematic? Well, the only diff that I've ever had leak was an HPI diff, and it's because of the screws coming loose in the alloy, right? So it's pretty tricky to get that thread lock on to where it will go in, seat itself properly without, being impossible to ever take off again, etc. So again, they're heavier, they're more prone to leaking. I've never ever had an issue with composite or plastic diff cups, and I've worked with probably 10-15 different brands, never had an issue with any of them except these. Just say no to the alloy diffs, they suck. So I really want to put a 0.21 engine on this to make it, spec legal. And I'm fairly confident that engine's going to be an OS speed, a spec 2. I still have to kind of gauge some things. That's a pretty expensive engine, of course, but it's one I've always wanted, and for all intents and purposes, I mean, that one is monstrous. However, until then, I went ahead and got a little something right here. I'll take this out real quickly. This is simply a new OS XZ 0.25 engine. Anyone that's followed our channel or this Hyper 7 knows that I previously had run one of these in it, and it is vicious. So I figured, what the hell, let's go ahead and have some more fun. I also think that I'm going to get that 2091 pipe as well. Until then, I'll go back to what I was using with this, which was Dynamite 086. Man, that's a nasty combination. That 2091, it's designed for this engine, but even if I like the 086 better, that 2091, I can put it to work for sure on many, many engines. Anyway, so soon I'll do a running in video for this new engine.